Look what I found! I'm so excited.
Hi, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Susan. Together we love to travel.
One of our favorite places to be
Is aboard a Norwegian ship at sea.
good food, drinks, and friends.
Make a relaxing trip indeed,
So come along with us.
as we let the sea set us free.
Now you might wonder how we got here today, huh? Well, I had a few fishing boats. My small one is called the Ballad. And back in 25 years ago, I came to Ketchikan to offload halibut. And one day I'm walking down the dock, and here comes 2 cruise ships. I never saw cruise ships in Ketchikan. Well, I hardly ever came to Ketchikan. I fished out on that ocean, right? I was going home. You guys are coming down those gangways side by side. But now you know what I started thinking, huh? Opportunity, you bet. This guy pulls up in a tour boat. And I said, hey, what are you doing? He says, I got 95 people coming off these cruise ships. And I get to drive them around the bayfront and tell them Ketchikan from the water. God, that made me mad that day. Because I'm looking at you guys. And I'm thinking to myself, you come from around the world. Some of you people saved your money for years to come on this vacation. And that man laughed about it. And I looked on that water and I thought, how do we catch that stuff? How do we pull it up? How do we hand it to you? How do we share our stories? And how do I show you things above the water that just might blow your mind? So after 10 years of dreaming about it, driving around the Bering Sea and the Gulf of Alaska, I woke up one day and I said, let's rip this boat apart and turn it into a tour boat. We got here July 25th of 2007. We had 0 cruise ships aboard, okay? 0. We didn't have anybody pick us up as an excursion. Our first trip, we had 5 guests, 2, 4, 5. Yeah. Trust me, it was worth every penny that we spent on this boat, and we did spend 3 times more money converting this boat to bring you guys than I paid for the damn thing. Well, you'll find out why you're here today. Put together a phenomenal crew for you. Dave Timmerman's going to be with you. Yep. It only took me 10 years, 10 years of talking to that man before I got him on this boat, okay? Dave Timmerman's going to give you 100% today. He's done fisheries I've never done. He's one of the best, okay? Thanks, Dave.
We're on, Cap.
All right. We got another guest here today. He's not going to be on deck so much, but I'm going to introduce Ron Wallen, okay? Hang on. Ron is, he was on that Princess ship, right? How many of you guys saw Ron in the theater or on the TV? He was the man that spoke in the auditorium on the way up to Alaska. You know famous crab fishermen, Sig Hansen,
Yep.
Jonathan,
Yep.
Bill Harris,
Yep.
Keith, and Andy. That man right there is 45 years right out of the Bering Sea. I put a microphone on him a couple weeks ago. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of him for years. Trust me. I think he's a legend in the Bering Sea. And it's an honor to have Ron Wallen right along with us today. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
This man here is Dennis Frenzy. Now we call him Big D because I put this man through hell before. Trust me, he wanted to slit his wrist many times. Huh, D? How many times?
Pretty much all of them.
All of Yeah, I did put him through hell, but trust me, I have stood next to no finer man on a deck of a fishing boat than that one right there. Big D, we'll give you 100%. And we got some greenhorns today. Oh, we got Maddie. We got Kendall. And we got Melissa now. Yeah. Whose vacation is it? It's your vacation. These girls, they've got our backs to keep us safe. They're going to keep you safe. And if you would like anything today, please ask us, okay? We got jackets, whatever, to keep you warm. We're going to get out of here, go see a lot of stuff, and have a blast. How about that? Let's go.
You guys excited about that eagle? Awesome. Maybe we'll get to show you one or two today.
This one.
All right, you guys. I'm going to share some scoop real quick with you. The first part of this is Coast Guard related. It's mandatory that we relay it to you, okay? Now, should we have to use a life jacket? We've never had to use them on tour before, okay? We've had to use them in real life, that's for sure. Okay. What you'll do is you'll take this clip, you'll unhook it from this loop in the front, let it hang off to the side. Take this jacket, spread it apart, put it on top of your head, around your neck, squeeze it back together, take this loop behind your body, and then hook it right in the front again, okay? Honestly, I don't know why we talk about them. We've only got two. This one's mine and Big D's. Oh, you guys are going to be fun. 41, 20, or 37, 26 adult life jackets in those aluminum boxes. There's a ripcord underneath each one. If we pull those cords, that's how many will fall out of there, okay? Now, if you're up top, you look where Cap Dave's driving the vessel. In front of that wheelhouse, there's a large aluminum box. We got a ton of life jackets up there as well. Also, if you find yourself up forward where our 3 restrooms are, and you can use those anytime today, okay? There's 2 holes up in the forepeak, one for adult life jackets, one for children's life jackets. So we got them in 3 different places. Again, we're not going to have to use them today, okay? Now, should we have to get off this vessel early? We've never had to do that on tour either, but this vessel has been abandoned before, and you're going to hear those stories today. It's going to blow your mind, I think. But should we have to do that today, you would see Big D and I take those steps right there. That's how you guys can get up top as well if you want to get up there and explore today, okay? We would go back behind that wheelhouse. There's 2 small stepways, one on either side. We'll get back there, we'll kick over self-inflating life rafts. They hit the water, turn into a raft. We bring it right here, and this is where we'd be joining on those, okay? Again, we've never had to use them on tour. I'm going to wait till that Uber takes off, and then I'll let you use some more, okay? We're going to have more fun than they are. Okay. Smoking. One place only on this vessel, okay? Take those steps and get back behind that wheelhouse. That includes the electronic things, whatever those are, all right? If you could put your cell phones on silent or vibrate, I think everybody around you would appreciate that. If you need to take or make a call, we ask that you remove yourself from the crowd and do that somewhere else on the vessel where you can find some privacy, okay? We're going to be feeding a lot of information today. So if you are going to have loud side conversations, we do ask that you take those somewhere else too, because we're going to be giving you guys tons of scoop today, all right? Okay, cool. Who's seen the deadliest catch? Woo! Very cool, very cool. And for those of you that haven't seen it, don't sweat it, okay? We're going to show you stuff from that show, and we're going to expand on that and double down and show you much more, okay? But for those of you that may have seen the show, this vessel was on season 2, profiled getting hit by a massive rogue wave. That rogue wave was over 60 feet tall. That's 20 feet taller than that boom right there that I'm pointing at. That gives you a little bit of the indication right there. Shellacked this vessel, put her on her side. Windows blown out of the wheelhouse. She went black as shit. That means no power to the engines, no pumps, no lights. Laying there on her side, dead in the water. There's only one thing that caused her to come back. We'd already been fishing for king crab. We had weight in the bottom of the boat. That gave it ballast. She found center keel, got oil pressure to the engines, fired them back up, on to fish another day, okay? That's not the only story of this boat. There's a couple more we're going to tell you today that go way beyond that, okay? But if you want to see that video, we do have it on board today. You'll take that passageway back where Big D's walking, past these seats, and get back into the galley back here where I point. It says it right above there. There's a television screen on your right-hand side as you walk in there. 4-minute looping video, all right? Get in there and see that today. Galley holds about 10 people, then it gets a little crowded. If you feel you can't get in there right away, you'll be able to sometime today, okay? All right. For those of you that have seen that show, you're probably familiar with the launcher here, the king block, and the coiler. Okay, we're going to use all that stuff today, but we're going to use other things too. Long line block right here. Most boats have that as well. Maybe even pull some prawn pots up. We're not scripted. We never know what we're going to do until we get out there, okay?
Better talk about these seiners real quick. I'm gonna run by them, Dave.
Oh yeah. Okay, you see these bigger boats out here that have a little boat connected to them. That's one of the 3 different kinds of salmon fishermen in the state of Alaska, okay? There's hand trollers and power trollers. They drag hooks through the water trying to catch salmon, old school style, right? And then you got gill netters. That's the smaller boats that put out a curtain net with squares in it. The fish swim into that, get their gills caught. They got them. And then you got the seiners. They typically have a crew of about 5 people. They're going to make a big circle with the net. They're going to draw that circle together and bring it on board the boat like a big bag, okay? There's a chance we might see some of them fishing today. If so, you kind of got the first glimpse. We'll see what we get when we get to the bay. Again, we're not scripted. We never know, okay? Now, for those of you that have seen that Deadliest Catch and seen all this gear right here, that's pretty common on most boats, okay? But we have something on board today that no other crab boat in the world has. And it's just for you guys, okay? You guys ready? We have a gift shop. That's our biggest piece of fishing gear right there, right? Right back in that same galley, okay? Again, 10 people fit in there, then it gets a little crowded. We've got some snacks for purchase, water, pop, candy bars, chips, but listen, I know it's early, but if you guys are hungry, we have half-pound portions of king crab, red king crab, cracked, already ready to eat, hot butter, ready for purchase back there while we're out crabbing today, okay? A lot of people ask us, you must get sick of crabs, eating crab when you're crabbing. It's illegal. We can't eat crab when we're crabbing. They want to count every single one of those things that goes in the tank. But watching you guys eat crab while we're crabbing, that's kind of a new and cool thing for us, all right? Now, let me see, where are we? Safety things, we'll do that. See this tub of gear right here I'm holding up? This is long line gear. And these hooks are in here in a certain order. If they get confused, there's a chance that Big D or myself can take a hook. So when I let you up out of your seats to explore the boat in a little bit, make sure you don't touch these hooks. Make sure you don't get them caught on your jacket or anything like that, okay? Also, there's 3 places where we're going to have chains up today for part of it. Right here, in the center of the deck, and down here by the coiler. When those chains are up, that means Big D and I are working this deck. Bring it to your end, set gear out. It's dangerous. It's the real deal. So we're going to drop those chains, and we're going to let you on this side of the deck throughout the course of the day. While they're up, we just need you to stay on that side, okay? Also, we want you to keep your hands out of these tanks and don't pull anything out of them. We promise that all this stuff is going to get shared with you today, okay? All right, sounds good. Okay, we're going to a special place today. We're going to the Annette Island Reserve Waters. This is home of the Sipshan Alaskans. There's 3 native tribes in southeast Alaska. There's the Haidas, the Plinkets, and the Sipshans. The Plinkets have been around here since time began. That's what we've been told by their culture. The Haidas and the Sipshans, they moved up from Canada in the early 1700s to the 1800s, right in there. Now the Sipshans, they took Annette Island as their own, 55,000 acres, okay? They have a village there with 1,500 people called Metlakatla. When the United States government was going around making reservations across the land and putting natives on them, they went to the Sipshan and they were going to do the same thing. But the Sipshans had a request. We need the waters around that land. That's the most important thing. So they asked for and they received the only sovereign saltwater rights in the United States of America. Once we get within 3,000 feet of their island, there's no longer state or federal fishing regulations. We're governed by their tribal fish police, okay? Here's why that's important. When Captain Dave was putting this tour together, he went to the Department of Fish and Game for the state of Alaska, and he told them what he was going to be doing. They said, no way. All that stuff's out of season. You can't pull that in the middle of summer. We got to give it to other people too, right? Well, he came into an agreement with these Sipshan. We get to fish in their waters today. That's a blessing for us. 95% of what we catch, whether it's in the tank today or we bring it up, it's going to go back into the water or to their shelves or their plates at a later date, okay? It's very important to us. Now, 5% of what we catch, hopefully we catch it today, we're not going to be able to throw that back. Certain kind of fish, they come up off the bottom, they get the bends. We'll explain that to you when the time comes, if it does. We need bait, it's all the circle of life, okay, you guys? Excellent. All right, you know where we're going. We know how to be safe. Give you guys a little treat here. Push that block out, get ready to fish. Anybody know what that is?
The hook.
The hook. That's right, the grapple. Now, for those of you that don't know, we've got our gear sunk to the bottom of the ocean, okay? We've got buoys connected to that. The main buoy is going to be the diver buoy. That's connected directly to the gear. That diver buoy is going to have our boat information on it. That way we can identify it and other vessels can identify it too. That's how people do that. Then there's going to be a secondary buoy that trails away from that, spinning with the currents and the tides, right? Our job is going to be to retrieve those lines, to throw this grapple between them, bring those lines to the boat, put them in one of our 3 blocks right here, and bring that gear on board, okay? But what I want you guys to do is get over here and get your best deadliest catch pose, all right? Get your hip against the rail. You're not friends with Captain Dave right now. He's had you out here for 24 hours straight. You haven't even had a damn sandwich, okay? All right, get that look off into the distance. Although there are select few that are probably going to get that Gucci purse hook look. I look pretty good like this, don't I? That's right. Listen, here's the most important part of the hook. Don't throw it, and here's why. If it gets wrapped around you or anything, it takes 3 seconds for this thing to get back to the propellers, and it'll take 3 seconds for you to get back to the propellers after that, all right? It's very serious. Just pretend you're throwing the hook. All right. Now, Big D's going to be out here. He's going to bait up this stuff of gear for when we go long lining. I'm going to swap out with Captain Dave and drive. He's going to come down and tell you a little bit more history of the Aleutian Ballad, okay? But right now, I got a question for you. Who's been waiting 2 years and COVID got in the way and screwed things up? Yeah. Okay, we made it, right? And listen, I want everybody to be loud here in a second, because we're on a crap boat in Alaska, you guys. Yeah. Okay, you guys are going to be great. I'm excited. Okay, the chains are down. You guys are welcome to explore the boat. You can check out up top. We just ask that you stay out of areas that say crew only, okay? Unless you're invited into those areas. Go ahead and get up, get those pictures by the hook. Let's have a good time today, you guys.
Oh yeah. For what?
Another beautiful day in Ketchikan. Like what Dave said, we're going to do a couple of different things. Back when I fished in the Bering Sea with David back in the 90s, we only had 5 to 7 months that we could fish. Well, he was paying for boats back then, so we had to keep busy. And one thing that he liked to do, he liked to go long line with black cod and halibut. And what I have here, a lot of you guys saw me put bait on this. It's an example of a long line tub. This only has about 25 hooks on it. If we were actually going to be fishing black cod, say with this size hook, it would have 600 feet of line in here, and it'd have 165 hooks. Almost all of these slots would be full. And we would have 200 of them, or at least 150, depending on what was going on. But where you guys are sitting, we would have racks built up there, and we would have these tubs in the rack ready to be gated to go, with you guys sticking them and you guys baiting them. Well, when I started long lining back in 1980, we were fishing halibut. The only thing available was these hooks right here. Anybody know what that is? It's just a J hook. I mean, they still make it, you can still buy it. But that's all we had. We would have a tub with maybe 75 J hooks on it, and we'd put it right where we thought all the halibut were, pull it back, and if we had 5 to 12 halibut that were 25 to 40 pounds, we thought we were doing pretty good because we had 11 days season. They would give us 11 days to catch the quota for halibut. Well, in 1982, a guy from Seattle Green came up and started pounding all the docks in Alaska with a D. Anybody know what that one is? It's a circle hook. And the reason I mention it is that completely changed this fish. We would put that same tub with the same 75 hooks and use circle hooks in the same spot. We'd have 50 fish, and they would average between 60 and 120 pounds. It's huge. We didn't even know they were that big fish now. And what we figured out is those large halibut, I mean, we're putting a quarter to a half pound of bait on each one of these hooks. They'll swallow this thing down and just lay on it and digest it. They don't care. They don't even know they're hooked up until we start pulling on it. Well, this hook's only designed to go in one way. You see, it's pretty open. It's not going to come out the way it came in without doing a lot of damage. And that's what we were doing. We were ripping fish open and straightening the hooks out. It was terrible. So with these, I can stand here and just pull this through my hand all day without even looking at it. And this thing will go down and come right back up. They turn their head, bam, the hook's right in the mouth, almost 99% of the time. So what that did was increase the fishing to the point where within a matter of 3 or 4 years, we went from 11-day openers and 48-hour openers down to 24-hour openers. So we were catching 100,000 pounds, 24 hours. And that in itself was a pretty brutal task. It might sound like only a day, but it's a day that if anybody ever did it, you would never forget it. So what we have right now, we set one of these just like this yesterday. We're going to haul it back, and then we are going to set this around. So if we catch any fish, I'm just going to put them here on the deck, and I'm going to ask you guys to stay in your seats until we get that one back in the water, and then we'll share what we caught. All right, buoys coming.
Buoys are coming. You guys ready to go fishing? All right. Do you guys know the difference between fishing and actually catching fish? Okay. Good group. Good shot, Big D.
According to David, it's about 30 miles of ground line.
Yeah, that's what.
All right. First thing he's going to do, he's going to coil his buoy line up, and then we're going to catch all the hooks and line in a tub. And that in itself, when you're doing a 40 tub set, you're going to have tangles in it. It's quite a ways behind us, Dave. Let's see if it catches up. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Still a little behind us, but it's catching up. It's coming up nice.
Tight.
Got a lot. Yeah, it's not coming up nice now. Pop it out, Dave.
Popping it out.
Straight up and down, yeah? All right, put it back.
Back in.
Where's it at, Big D? It's still behind us a little bit, but not very bad. I think it's plenty runnable right here. And it's coming up now. Normally, I would have a set of controls right here, and I would be running the boat because I can see the line. He can, but seems that we're only running 25 hooks per whack. It's a little overkill. All right, we got gear coming.
Here come the hooks.
You sure you baited that thing?
Yep.
Bait back. That's a good sign. There is a thing down there called the sand flea, and if you set the gear at the wrong time, they will strip every piece of bait off of this.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, you got it. Got a little bit of a dangle coming down.
Okay. Let her run up through. That's good.
I actually never called them tangles till I got on here. But what I used to call them, I'm not allowed to even say. Huh.
That's a cool fish. We'll let Nemo go. That's called a little sculp, and we actually put those back in pretty quickly.
Uh-oh, we're not putting this one back.
You got something?
Oh, yeah. We need some help.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, geez, get your cameras ready.
1, 2, 3. Steelhead.
He booed. Come on.
I don't know why we always get the steelhead on the last hook.
Very consistent fishing.
Alright, we'll be closing that up. You'll be bringing the buoy line over. We'll set this up here. Now this is the tricky part. It won't be that tricky today because we just have one tub with 20 hooks on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom of this tub and put it over here. I'm going to take the top of this tub and hook it to the anchor because that anchor's going out first. Now I'll tie the buoy line onto the bottom of this tub. Now if we were actually fishing and they say he wanted to set 30 tubs here, they would be those full tubs that I was telling you about. This pole wouldn't be here and I'd have a table behind me that holds at least 3 tubs. So I would have 3 tubs set up there with the top tied to the bottom, top tied to the bottom. I would be setting this and some guy would be behind me tying tubs up. Now, I'm busy doing this, paying attention so I don't get hooked. I have to assume that the guy behind me is tying them correctly because this tub would be full. I'd have to start out hanging on the hook. And if he ties one upside down, the hooks that I'm hanging on to go out first. And I have had that happen. And it actually cost me most of the season. I had to have a couple surgeries to have my Ketchikan fix that.
We're going to see that today, Big D?
I would certainly hope not, David. But if we are, this is going to be the time.
I'm ready when you guys are.
We're ready.
We're
This
ready.
is going to go out pretty fast.
You guys let it go when you're ready.
Going over. All right, you guys are long liners. Okay, we got a couple fish. These are called quillback rockfish, okay? There's over 40 different kinds of rockfish down below us. This is the most prevalent one that we catch on tour. The quillback. Now, that's its defensive mechanism. These are like hypodermic needles, okay? Fish are gonna attack other fish from behind when they're feeding. They're gonna get a mouthful of those quills if they do. Now listen, there's a little bit of poison in those quills. It's not enough to kill you, but it's going to greatly enhance your fishing experience for the rest of the day. It's a burn and it's a throb, let me tell you. Now, these guys have a wonderful white meat in them. I like them better than halibut. Very consistent meat. It's always the same size. They're pretty bony fish though, so you don't get much out of them. But if you get rockfish tacos on your Alaska journey, there's a good chance it's going to be one of these guys right here, okay? Now, this is part of that 5% that we cannot throw back. They come up off the bottom. They don't have a way to regulate their breathing as they come up, but they get in the beds. So this guy, he's got a future as bait, okay? Circle of life, you guys. Aha! Now, Big D has Hydrologus colii. I know that's a fancy word, but it's Latin for water hare. Kind of looks like a bunny in the front. It's got a rat tail. We actually call them the rat fish, okay? Now, this is a cartilaginous fish. They don't have bones in them. It's like a shark in that regard. And they've been unchanged since the beginning of time, is what we're told by scientists. Now, they are a bottom feeder, and probably the most important thing I can tell you about the rat fish is that they are immune to all diseases that other fish get in the water. So scientists are all over these guys trying to figure out what that key is, see if they can apply it to us. You guys have rat fish where you are? You have catfish where you are. Yeah, that's why you don't have ratfish.
All right, well, let's go ahead.
Oh, you guys reeled me right in on that one. Oh, we just started. Okay, we're in those waters, okay? This is the Fisherman Reserve waters. We crossed that magic line, that's why we're allowed to fish. I can tell by where Captain's going right now. Am I right, Cap? Are we sightseeing?
I was thinking about predators, just
Okay.
like we always talk about.
That's
I happen to
fantastic.
have, you know, there's a predator up there I'm going to go check out.
Okay, sounds good. Once we get through this lump right here, because the boat's a little bit wavy, I'm going to let you guys up out of your seats. What we're trying to find is the predators that come in here looking for the herring that spawned about 2 months ago. But they stick around and they wait for the salmon. We got sea lions, we got sharks, we got us. We're one of those predators that goes gill netting for those things, right? But what we're going to try to look for is whales, okay? We never know if we're going to find them. We got a little bit of time to do it. This is not a whale watching tour. If we do find one, it's going to be a bonus, okay? I think you're right, Dave. He's scratching himself.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know how bears go up the trees and do that back thing? Whales do that against boats. They do it against reefs. Scratch themselves. I got a question. How deep is it right here, Cap?
Well, I got plenty of water right here, but if I go right over there about 40 yards, I hit a rock.
Yeah. We over 150 here?
I think we're 120 feet deep right here.
Perfect.
Am I gonna get behind a little rock? There you go.
Nice.
I think he's high center. Yeah, he might be stuck.
The cost of the whale watching tour will be automatically added to your bill.
He's still back there below us behind that rock. Now this side now. Oh yeah.
Yep, there he is, yeah.
Now I've heard, I don't know if this is what he's doing or not, but I have heard that they'll come up the rocks like that there and try to rub barnacles off themselves.
You say you lost your contact.
And that was a sperm whale, correct?
Sperm whale, yes. We can tell by the color and the shape of that back. The humpback will be more gray and have more of a hump on the back, and then the killer whales, of course, they're different altogether. The village of Metlakatla is just...
There he is.
Oh, there it is. Village of Metlakatla is about 16 miles from here to the start of the boat. I think you're right, Big D. It's a barnacle scratcher.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on to the next thing. Is that right, Cap? Yeah, that's a big whale. Right now, it's a good time. He's going the other way anyway.
Couple whales on that side of the ball with the rock.
Right there. You got
Cue
one?
the Eagles.
Oh, there he is.
when the salmon show up in this bathing pond, the recording these birds will disappear under those springs and rivers, chasing those salmon in this pond and also keep the eggs. So we're here at great fun, let's say.
But they're also very opportunistic. If I were to stop right now, I don't believe this is something that dies. They do see it coming up. But the eagles nest up there in the tree. Yeah, it looks straight across the road. Straight across right now. You see a tree that looks like it's upside down with the roof in the air. That eagle nest has been there as long as days for about 7 to 8 feet across.
See that eagle's nest?
Where?
But the water should feel like this for the rest of the day. Did you just catch one?
Oh yeah.
That's a Seattle Seahawk. We find that the ones that can't catch them are from Philadelphia. We got some Philly fans on board today. You're in Seahawk country, sorry.
How often do you see bears? Actually, I just talked to Dave about that a few minutes ago. There's a lot of bears on this island, apparently, that are mostly on the west side of the island. I've never seen a bear.
If you go to the Metlakatla landfill in their village, there's a ton of bears there. I'm not seeing any juveniles yet. If you see one of those eagles that doesn't look like the rest, that will be a juvenile. It doesn't have the white. I'm going to give you a pro tip. If you have slow-mo on your camera or your iPhone, switch into that mode, film some of these birds. You can take screenshots out of that. You'll be amazed. Best eagle show in the world. Yeah, we're allowed to do this because we're in those Fisherman waters. They have their own regulations. It's illegal to feed eagles anywhere else in the country, except for right here and us. They let us do this. It's quite a blessing.
So I can tell male from female. But really, the only difference is size, and it's just incremental. A female's just a few pounds heavier. Other than that, they're identical. And they do mate for life.
Yes. They lay eggs at multiple times of the year, too. They usually do them 75 days apart.
All right, I'm going to start drilling some bait here. Like he says, he has slow motion. It's kind of cool when they all come out of the water.
see if I can bring one down. Take a herring from me. Got one I can have, baby. Put one in my mouth.
I think I'd get a picture of the eagles at that tree.
Oh my God, no way.
That ain't happening, you guys. Come on. Got you twice now. Yeah, someday I'm gonna lose my list. It's worth it for now. This is the Union 15. No, here's what we got going, you guys. This is one of our local Ketchikan fishermen. This is one of the natives that lives on this island. They're allowed to fish here. This is their grounds. Now this is a gill netter, and it's a stern picker. You're going to see a reel on the back, or a drum, okay? They're going to have a net on that. Right now it's in the water. You can see those corks stretched out from the ferry dock all the way out here to his vessel. Now those corks are hanging a curtain underneath it with square meshes. That goes down 60 meshes to a lead line that goes along the bottom. It keeps that curtain down straight. What he's trying to do is stretch his net out from the shore to the middle of the bay. He's going to run back and forth with his boat, hoping that the salmon that are heading towards these rivers up here, looking for where they came out of to begin with years ago, he's trying to cut them off before they get to those rivers. They swim into those gill nets, those squares, and they get caught by their gills, okay? Now this is a drift gill net, meaning you can unhook from it and just let the net drift around. Sometimes they'll hang off one side of it, take a nap for a couple hours while that thing drifts around, and they'll run back and forth on that net. In case there's any fish just hanging out alongside it, it might scare them into the net. But this is one of our local Alaskan fishermen right there. Very cool.
And when the fish do actually start hitting in that net, you'll see those corks will start going down. And that's another thing he's doing while he's looking at the net. There's some spots where the corks are down. You can just lay that net out right in front of us here and go around it.
We might get to see him pull that later on. It's all up to them and what hours they're doing.
So in 2019, I decided I would come up here and see what he had going, and I did. And I came in, I told David, I've been working with the same 5 guys for 30 years. I got my vocabulary down to about 30 words. And first thing he told me was there's 8 of them that I was not allowed to use on here. And he gave me the mic and sent me out in front of you people. I was terrified. I went the whole season. I worked most of 2019 right here where I'm standing. And I was petrified. I couldn't even sleep at night. I would come out here and I'd mumble through a few things, and then I would go over and run the block. And that was it. That was my job. I liked it when I got to feed the eagles because nobody bothered me. And then I came back up, and I don't even know why I came up this year because I knew I was dreading it. And I was here for about a week, and there was this little girl from Houston. Her name's Kennedy. She was 6 years old. And this later in the show, and everybody's out milling around on a deck. Tugging on my rain pin. So I turned around and I bent down, and she just came up and gave me the biggest hug I've had since my kids were 6 years old. And the only reason I bring that up is because that did something. That hug kind of transformed me, and now when I'm standing here, I look out here and I see people. I don't see dread and fear. And so now I'm kind of getting to where I can start to talk to people. And it's changed everything about this whole job. I get up and I look forward to coming down here. And I thank you in advance because I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you taking time out of your vacation to come down here and see what we do. It is more interesting than I gave it credit. And that's
trip too. Let's see what we got. We've seen whales and birds and fish and, man, Alaska overload. Fisherman. We need a bear riding a whale. That's an option. Okay, we're in the block in the boiler, and you'll see these knots come through the block. Each one of those separates a different shot of line. A shot of line on this vessel is about 25 fathoms, 6 feet to a fathom, 150 feet. Here comes another knot. Bam, that was 150 feet while I just explained that. Okay, that's kind of a funny looking pot though, isn't it? You may not have seen one of these before. Now, this is a cone pot or a dome pot. We're going to call them domers on this boat, or stackers. Here's the way they work. We're going to hang bait jars in there, okay? Those bait jars are going to have fresh fish in them. All those juices flow out of that bait jar, and there's holes in it. These are scent-driven carnivores. They're going to come crawling for that. They come crawling up the side of that pot, just like that, and they fall in that tunnel right there, and we got them, okay? Now, the way we empty it, we pull what's called a pucker strap back here. It opens the whole bottom up. We spill the crab out, deal with them, set this off to the side, stack the next one on top of it, like cereal bowls in your kitchen cabinet. Let's say I can fit 4 of those big square king crab pots right here. I can fit 25 of those stacked in the same area. So it's about capacity. What do you got, Big D?
Well, what I have is box crabs, BOX. And I think they're the coolest crabs that we catch. They're like little transformers. They're actually a pretty close relation to the king crab, but they're really hard to catch. They like it really deep and up against the rocks, and but they are fun. And I want to show you right now how you're going to hang on to them. You put a couple fingers down in their belly, put a thumb on the back, just hold them like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
All right, I got another critter for you. There's 2 types of tanner crab. There's the bear dye and the apelio. This is the bear dye, okay? You're going to know these on the market as the Alaska snow crab. Now, you're going to grab them out here by their legs and let those claws hang down in the middle. We're going to drop the chains. I want you guys out here, those that can get out here on deck. Gals are going to bring some up to you guys if you don't want to come down. Let's go, guys. We want to share our crabs with you. That's not funny.
Oh my, look what Matthew's got. Oh golly. Box crab.
Okay, are we still having fun?
Yeah!
Good. People ask us all the time, how long can these crabs live out of water? And listen, we've done some research on this, and the answer is right up until they die. On a day like this, when it's kind of cold out, actually I can feel the heat, believe it or not. On a day like this, these guys may be a couple hours on deck. You get some moisture in the air, 40-degree day, 30-degree day, Bering, sea, whatever. These guys can scatter across the deck. You'll find them in a quarter a day later. 70-degree day, 15 minutes. Their gill plates lay down. They can't suck any air out of the atmosphere. Now you'll see Big D put some line up here for me. That keeps me separated from this pot. This pot's going over, 250 pounds going that way, 1,000,000 pounds of boat going this way. I don't want to be directly connected because I got to get this shot of line off the boat right away. This gives me a little bit of time to gather myself to make sure everything's right before I do that.
And when he does get this line off the boat, it actually makes for a pretty good picture between the line and the buoy. It's pretty cool.
Stand by.
You guys ready?
Ready.
They are. Let her go. Pull it over.
Keeping your feet. That's right. Always.
All right.
You guys are crabbers. Now, these are the golden Alaskan king crab right here, okay? There's 3 types of commercially fished king crab in the state of Alaska. There's the blues, the reds, and there's these guys, the goldens, all right? Now you're gonna target their environment to catch them. The Bering Sea has those red king crab. They're gonna live the longest, about 18 years. They're gonna be the biggest. They're gonna hang out on a flat sandy bottom, about 42 fathoms deep, 6 feet to a fathom, okay? The blue king crab, they like less salinity in the water, so they're gonna look for freshwater outfall areas, and they're gonna like rocky ledges, okay? These guys are the hardest ones to catch. They like to start out on cliffs, 900 feet deep, going down way past a half-mile deep. Yeah, they're hard to catch, okay? Now, once you get them on the boat, you have to make sure that they are a male. You're gonna flip them over onto their back, and you're gonna look at that abdomen flap right there. You see how this comes to a point or a triangle? How that's a V right there? The female is gonna have a half circle, a complete half circle. This is a male. The boys are pointy, the girls are round. Now, the female is going to carry over 1,000,000 eggs up underneath her flap, okay? When she goes to lay those, they're like little microscopic larvae, and they're just open to predators. Only 1/10 of 1% of those babies make it to mature crab. Now, the state of Alaska takes the retention of females very seriously. If we're in port and we pull a female out of that load, and there's an enforcement officer there, the first fine for that first female, 10 grand. Wow. Yeah, don't mess with the ladies. We need them making babies, right? That's what it comes down to. Now, once we, they do have to be a certain size to be on the boat. 6.5 inches across the back. If we have any question about whether that crab is big enough, we're going to grab one of these sticks right here. Inside the margin of that stick gives me 6.5 inches. As long as that touches spines inside there, that is a legal crab. Into the tank it goes. All right? Now, they have 2 different kinds of claws. On the right-hand side, 90% of the time, is going to be that crusher claw. There's some little white pieces of ivory in there. They're in there to support that claw. If it didn't have them, it would crush its own claw when it goes to crush things. On that left-hand side, 90% of the time, is going to be that cutter claw. And it's going to take the pieces and feed it into its mouth where there's 2 more pieces of ivory. Their teeth, they chop sideways instead of up and down like ours. Now, these guys have an awesome ability, and they have a pretty tough opponent down there that likes to eat them. Mr. Octopus loves Mr. Crab. Let's say Mr. Octopus comes along and grabs him by a leg. He has the ability to eject that leg. It's called kicking a leg. This guy goes on living his life. Octopus gets a snack, right? And then when they molt, meaning they pull out of this shell to grow and build a new one, they can grow their legs back that they voluntarily kicked off. If I yank the leg off, that's an injury. That's not going to heal. But if they do it voluntarily, absolutely they can regenerate. It's pretty darn amazing. If you look at the face of that creature, and you think back to that Predator movie, remember all the Predator movies? That creature designer used the king crab as his design. And if you look at the face, boom, the Predator. And if you look at the claws, or at least these legs, those are the Predator's fingernails too. You'll be amazed next time you watch that movie. Now, I know I just loaded you with a ton of information about king crab, but I'll tell you what, if you need to know more, you need to Google it, just like I did. Now, it's all information from the years, and also the Alaska Department of Fish and Game has a fantastic website that talks about all these fisheries that we're talking about today too. Now, we used to go out and catch 1,000 king crab right around this island at the beginning of the season. But because of the predators, we'd have them in this king crab pot, and the predators would just massacre our king crab. We'd go through those 1,000. Captain Dave put a chiller on the boat. We carry some with us. We store about 100 up in the head of the bay that we catch before the season. When we're done with these, we'll give them to the Fish and Game Cops for Metlakatla. They'll go have a feast in the village with the elders. We're pretty happy about that. We'll throw 12 more in there and share them with you guys. Now, we couldn't pull this pot up empty, so Captain Dave had some stuff made up to keep your viewing pleasure, kind of emulate what's going on in that pot on the bottom. Also, you'll see some colorful tags. Ignore the tags for now. It's a memorial pot. Captain Dave will come down after we're done with it, and he'll explain that side. But for now, you ready to go king crabbing? Yeah! Those golden king crabs 2,500 feet deep or more. When we pull that much line, we're going to open this coiler up 4 times and have 4 big stacks of line around me representing a half mile of line, right? It takes a long time to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to long line that here. We're going to put 10 pots at the end of that. And then once we get to that 2,500 feet, we got 10 pots coming on instead of just one at a time. They'd be wadded up on the bottom of this door, and more often than not, I'd have 10 empty shells in there. You'd have 3 live crab. You'd have a 30-pound octopus in there going, "Hey man, it was like that when I got here. I don't know what's going on." No, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. We were going through multiple crab every day, and it just wasn't that good for the product, right? So this let us set it up like it was fishing on the bottom. We've done a 24-hour test soak. Captain pulls this up. I've got riders on my side. They aren't even in the pot yet. That means it's actively fishing right now. Get this thing back in the water, add bait to it. We're fishing right here, okay? At 7.5 pounds a piece, at over $10 a pound, you get 50 in here. It's almost a $4,000 pot, you guys. That's some cha-ching right there.
All right, first thing I'm going to do is lower this thing down on the launcher. There's a couple of hooks on the bottom. I set it out there. Normally, if we were running, I just have a spot right in front of me to hang. Okay, my very next move, I have to put the dogs on there, and that's these hooks on the top of the launcher. That centers that pot and holds it tight to the launcher. Because then I'm going to pick this pot up. At this point, a couple of guys are going to wheel a table in right in here. 2 guys are going to unhook these straps, throw this door up on top. And then I'm going to do what they call the double action, which is get those crabs out. And the way I do that, I just stand it up. Now, when I stand it up, and if I've got crabs in there, I'm going to be shaking this handle probably until everything falls out. You can only imagine, I've been standing there for 20 hours, get a little tired, get a little drifty, forget to put these hooks on just one time. You tip this up like this, bam, goes right where you're sitting. and it stops right where you're sitting, and it takes everything out in between. And I think just about everybody who's ever crabbed up there has seen it happen. You just try to limit it. It's just, you'll see people are always, especially when they're running the hydraulics, they're talking all the time, saying what they're going to do. Going down.
Going down. I was actually trained around a hydro guy to repeat what the hydro guy was saying. That way it's in your mind too. That's just me, I don't know. Now, we can fish for king crab with these if we have the door all the way open for these tunnels. If we want to go for the apelio or the beardeye, those snow crab, we shut this and tie it in place smaller, only the small crab can get in there. We'll cover up the big escapement mesh, which when we're king crabbing, helps the small females, which are typically smaller, and any small males get out before we even get the pot. But if we're switching to the snow crab, we drop this tanner panel right here into place. Now we're tight meshed, okay? Now, probably the most important thing ecologically I can tell you is we're going to cut an 18-inch wide hole in the side of these pots. We're going to sew that back together with a cotton biodegradable line. That way if this thing gets away from us, we don't want it to sit down there endlessly fishing, right? It's called ghost fishing. We need this spot to rot out, and it will somewhere after 30 days. That hole reappears, everything can escape, and it quits fishing down there, okay?
Coming down.
Coming down.
All right, there's a lot of tags on this pot, huh? COVID hit 2019. We left Alaska, and we have not been back. We showed up this year in March, and we found out that the native village of Metlakatla, some of their fishermen, well, the village is right over that mountain on the other side. Fishermen had accidents and they didn't come home. There's an 80% unemployment on that island. There were families left behind with no help. We called our buddies from Alaska, Washington, California, Oregon. Send us your used buoy tags, you guys. We put them in the front of the boat, right through that door. There's a box and a slot in the top, and there's pins. And these are our memories from our guests earlier this year. It's a donation thing. If you put something in the box, grab a tag. Maybe you want to write a memory of somebody, maybe somebody that's just inspired you throughout your life. That's what these are. At the end of September, we're going to cut the web of this pot out. We're going to roll it up. It'll be that big. Take 2 of us to pack it. We're going to fly over to the village. We're going to invite the chief, tribal council, members of the community into that big room. And we're going to lay your memories out on the floor and get down and read them. And then we're going to give them a check for the very first memorial fund that they've ever had for the fishermen's families left behind when there's an accident. Over the last 4 years, thank you. We began this program prior to 2019 for 4 years. Our guests, you guys, right here at the Bering Sea Crab Fisherman's Tour, have donated over $100,000 to different fishermen memorial funds around the United States in need. So these are memories from yesterday. A few of them I'll share. And never forgot Captain Bruce Stanford. Just a glimpse of your Alaskan life. Thank you. Love the Ballard. Thank you for your sacrifice. South Carolina. In memory of Trevor. Loving crabs, always on your mind. Ryan, we made it to Alaska. We love you. Okay. You're going to ride with us every day on this tour. Like I said, we'll cut this web out. But we came out here in April, prior to the tour season, before any cruise ships came to Ketchikan. We rolled up into this bay, and we all climbed on top of this trap pot, all of us. We're all up here. We're putting our memories on this crab pot. Our little greenhorns from Ketchikan, they came out, they sat over here and they wrote their memories down. We zip tied them to this pot. As I stepped off of this crab pot, I thought back about my buddies that never came home. I got to 34 of them. 34. They call that TV show the up in the bow of the boat on the wall. There's a memorial for one of my buddies that fished on my boat, Steve Zima. He always smiled. Steve was one of those guys that would always had that upbeat personality. And one day we had an accident on one of my boats. I wasn't there that day, but I walk into that bow all the time. And I know Steve's riding with us here today on this boat, okay? The Memorial Pot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, as Dave throws his line up there, you'll notice there's a couple different colors of line. Just happens to be that that's two different kinds of line.
Yep.
What he's going to throw on there first is a floating line. And we always put floating line next to the pot. Reason is we want that line to float up and away so it doesn't chafe on this iron or go into the tunnels and foul things up. We just want that line up and away from that pot. But when we get to the buoys, we want sinking line on that. And the reason is we want that line to come as straight down as possible. So when boats drive by, there's not a bunch of loose line for them to catch in their wheel or us when we're running the gear. It's just what we do with all of our stationary gear.
Okay, you guys, when you're ready?
Yes,
Yep.
we are.
Here we go. Let her go.
Going over.
You guys are king crabbers.
You hear that bang? This is generating like 30,000 pounds of pressure.
Now, we actually call them something different as fishermen. We call them the slime eel. Because here's the deal. You get one of these things in a 5-gallon bucket of water and agitate that bucket. One of these creatures can exude several quarts of gooey slime out of the pores of their body. That's its defensive mechanism. And if you've seen the Alien movies, when he opens his mouth and you got those big tendrils of goo, that's what we're talking about right there, you guys. Now, the slime eel is a long line fishing industry, and it's not because we're going to have to go very deep, but it's because anytime we can connect more gear to our line, we're going to do that so we can go through more gear each time we pull it. We're going to pull up a 35-gallon plastic barrel. They're used like a pickle barrel, all right? A bunch of holes in it. Put a one-way entrance in with fingers that let nothing come back out. We weight that thing down, we put bait in there, and those slime eels love a dark hole to get into, like a barrel like that. Now, we've been doing pretty good. Typically, we catch about 75 each time. We got about 100 people on board, maybe a little bit more. There's enough for everybody to hold one. We might have to take turns. I'll show you how to do it. You just don't want to shake them, because that'll agitate them and they won't give out that slime. I'm excited for you guys. I'll take some pictures. If we squeeze everybody together, maybe we can get on the cover of Slime Eel Monthly.
And do watch Dave though, because you do have to hold him right behind the head, because they do have, it's not real bad, but it's a pretty massive throw that it goes around their entire head. It's inside, but you gotta hold him in the right spot.
We're sneaking up on them so we don't agitate them. Actually, we're in pretty shallow. Captain has to really be careful. The shore's only about 50 yards that way.
Hopefully that second buoy's gonna come out.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
you're
looking
good,
for
yeah.
it. I get it regardless.
It's out. Nice. If you Google the next words, Oregon, highway, slime eel, doesn't sound like those that go together, does it? They were shipping these things down I-5 between Washington and Oregon. There was an accident. A bunch fell out of totes onto the highway. They had to shut the highway down for 4 hours because that slime was so sticky just to clean it up. And if you look at that article, there's a little compact car in the background that looks like it's been straight out of a Ghostbusters movie. There's slime from front to back. Can't even tell what kind of car it is.
Plus, there's 2 state troopers who look like they wish they'd have called it sick that day.
I don't think that was in their job description.
I don't think I can bring it up any more gentle than that.
I think that was pretty good. Okay, that was pretty gentle.
Pretty much fast as I see him rolling.
I'm not a big fan of the slimy, I'll admit it. They kind of creep me out.
You got a few.
That's not a slimy eel, that's a giant Pacific octopus. And that's a juvenile, okay? Probably about 6 months old, maybe a year. Why is he in that barrel? We put him there. Here's why. If you're going to eat the show, you're going to be part of the show. We catch these guys in our pots, usually on an earlier morning tour. We bring them over here in the tank. We parole the one we have. We put the new one in there and give them a timeout to think about what they've been doing in our gear. And they are smart. I use that word think. I think most people know that they have 3 hearts by now. We watched Disney Finding Dory, right? But did we know that they had 9 brains? They have one in the mantle, and their ganglia at the base of each one of those arms fire so much neurons through there, they're like little mini brains. Each one of those tentacles or arms, they think independently of the main brain and just report back to it. There's 2,240 suction cups on this guy, and he's down there smelling and tasting with those suction cups. Just amazing. Running around the bottom, and that's how they move. They're using their arms to walk. Tasting things. Rock, 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 crab. They find that crab. Don't muscle that crab apart, and they will absolutely tear it apart and eat it, right? That's why they get into our pots and do. Or you can get on top of a crab with one of those guys. They'll use their beak. Their beak is up there inside the tentacles. On this one, it's probably the size of a marble. They'll chisel a hole in a crab, inject an enzyme, liquefy the meat. It's got himself a crab Slurpee. Pretty amazing. Now, they can change colors, emulate their environment. They can jet through the water. They only do that jetting thing when they're trying to get away from something, and typically they'll ink too at the same time. If we were to put him, in a tank and he inked, and we left him in that tank, he would expire from his own toxin. Usually it's just enough to get away. I'm going to sex this guy real quick, see if it's a boy or a girl. You go right through the mantle, through the middle, you come 3 suction cups over, and if it comes down to, if there's suction cups all the way down, it's a female, and if not, it's a male. This one's Hank. That's Hank in the tank. Okay, everybody get a picture of that guy?
Yeah.
All right. Back into the timeout barrel. We catch about 50 or 60 a year, a summer, so it's just a few days at a time that we have to get in there, okay? That's a secret hole right there. That's where, yeah, if any of you need a timeout, you're going in. Did you put anybody in there with them?
I give a little sleepover, buddy.
Oh, okay.
It's dark and cold in there.
Yeah. Prawns like to keep him occupied. The prawns never come back with any compliments about the show, but...
Okay, you guys, you ready?
Sure.
We are. Let it go. Anchor's over.
All right, you guys. Giant Pacific octopus right there.
I get you nachos, Dave.
I encourage you to Google that creature, and also there's a documentary on Netflix. It's not the giant Pacific octopus, but it's a relative. My octopus teacher. Guy goes out diving with this octopus, and he chronicles that daily for a year. Kind of puts it together. It's a cool show, okay? Now, I hate to inform you, but we're done with the fishing portion of our journey on this side of the deck. I know, it's very sad. I know. But listen, we're highly trained professionals. We do this a lot. We've been looking in your eyes. You guys are famished. This is as long as you've been away from the buffet on this whole cruise. We know, we've cruised. Hey, but the gals have been putting together a little seafood snack for the way back to town. Let's hear it for the gals, too, right? Yeah. Look out the back here. You see them hustling behind the scenes, you guys. What do you got for us today, Melissa? Fish crackers, you guys. Yum, yum. Hey, they're shaped like fish and they're in sea salt. What more do you want? And if that's not enough, we still have some of that king crab back there.